Her best friend warned me. She calls me her Plan B. I stayed silent, waited for the right moment, and during her birthday party, I raised a toast to new beginnings, then ended things in front of everyone. The fallout was louder than any argument could have been. I met Claire when I was 26. We were introduced at a coworker's game night. She wasn't part of my circle, just tagging along with a friend. She was the kind of person who seemed to light up the whole room without trying. The type who could turn a dull conversation into laughter just by throwing in one witty comment. I was never the loud, charming guy. I've always been steady, more comfortable listening than competing for attention. That night, she pulled me into a conversation about travel. I remember she teased me about never having left the country, then said, "Good thing you've got me now. I'll fix that." It felt easy with her. Natural. The first months of dating were good. She was spontaneous, always suggesting last-minute road trips or dragging me out to live music shows on weeknights. I balanced her chaos with my steadiness. We joked that she was the spark and I was the anchor. But even early on, there were small things that didn't sit right. When we were out with her friends, she had this habit of making jokes at my expense. Nothing brutal, just jabs. "Oh, don't ask him to dance, he's got two left feet." Or, "He's basically a grandpa already, bed by 10. Everyone laughed, including me. I told myself it was harmless. Sometimes she'd compare me, half-jokingly, to her exes. "Mark always used to surprise me with flowers. Guess you're not the romantic type, huh?" She'd say it with a laugh, then follow with, "But you're dependable, and that's what matters." Dependable. A word that felt like both a compliment and a cage. The first real crack came about 6 months in. We were at a bar with her group of college friends, people I barely knew. She had a couple of drinks and, in the middle of a story, said, "Well, at least I've got my Plan B here. Good old reliable my name." Everyone laughed. She kissed my cheek dramatically, as if that made it better. I laughed too, but inside, the words burned. I told myself she was drunk, just running her mouth. But later that night, lying in bed, the phrase kept looping in my head, Plan B. I should have asked her about it. I should have said something. But instead, I pushed it down. We had good moments, movie marathons, lazy mornings making pancakes, little adventures she pulled me into. I didn't want to ruin that with confrontation. Still, once you hear something like that, you can't unhear it. Over time, I started noticing patterns. When she texted me, it was often practical, "Pick up milk?" or "Can you drive me?" Rarely just to say she missed me. She didn't post me much on social media either, even though she posted everything else: her meals, her outfits, her nights out with friends. When I asked, she brushed it off. Not everything has to go online. Don't be insecure. Maybe she was right. Or maybe she just didn't want certain people to know she was taken. The doubt became a background hum in my life. I'd be at work, trying to focus, and suddenly I'd wonder, am I her anchor or her safety net? There were moments, though, where I believed she really cared. Like when I got sick with the flu and she showed up with soup and sat with me for days. Or when she introduced me to her parents and called me the one who keeps me sane. I clung to those moments. I wanted to believe in them. But then, at a barbecue with some of her friends, I overheard one of them laugh and say, "Careful, Claire, don't let Plan A hear you." They thought I didn't catch it. Claire laughed, too quickly, and changed the subject. That night, I stared at the ceiling while she slept beside me, wondering who Plan A was. I didn't ask. I was afraid of the answer. Instead, I started pulling inward, watching more closely, listening for slips, keeping mental notes. It felt paranoid, but also necessary. Like I needed to know exactly where I stood with her, whether I was her partner, or just a placeholder until something better came along. At this point, we'd been together nearly 2 years. People around us expected we'd move in together soon. She'd drop hints about apartments she liked, about how we could decorate. My mom even asked once if I thought Claire was the one. I said yes, but my stomach twisted as I said it. Because deep down, I wasn't sure at all. I wanted her to be the one. I wanted the spark we had at the beginning, the version of her that made me laugh until my ribs ached and pulled me into spontaneous road trips. But I couldn't shake the sense that to her, I was more of a safety blanket than a partner. The confirmation came one night, in a way I didn't expect. Claire's best friend pulled me aside after a group dinner. She looked nervous, almost guilty, and she said quietly, "I don't think you know this, but Claire, she sometimes calls you her Plan B." I froze. My ears rang. It wasn't just a joke anymore. Not just drunken banter. Her closest friend confirmed what I feared all along. I forced a smile and said, "Thanks for telling me." Inside, something snapped into place. The doubts weren't paranoia. The signs weren't in my head. I really was just her backup plan. That night, as Claire laughed with her friends, I watched her differently. Not as the woman I thought I was building a future with, but as someone who had already written me out of hers. I didn't confront her. Not then. I didn't want another denial, another "don't be insecure." Instead, I started planning my own way out. After her best friend's quiet warning, I walked home that night with Claire beside me, chatting about dessert like nothing was wrong. I nodded, smiled in the right places, but inside my chest was heavy with confirmation. I wasn't imagining it. I was Plan B. I didn't say a word. What would have been the point? If I asked her, she'd laugh it off. If I pressed, she'd probably accuse her friend of stirring drama. I'd been down that road before, with smaller things. Somehow, any concern I raised got flipped back on me. So I stayed silent. Outwardly, nothing changed. I texted back. I picked her up from work. I watched shows with her curled up on the couch. But inside, I began to detach piece by piece. It was strange, actually. The more I stayed quiet, the clearer everything became. Like once I stopped trying to defend her or rationalize things, I started seeing her for who she really was. She flirted a little too easily when a waiter made small talk. She rolled her eyes at me when she thought I wasn't looking. She was affectionate only when she needed something. And her jokes, always at my expense, started cutting deeper once I realized they weren't really jokes. One night, she said in front of a group, "I don't know why he puts up with me, honestly. Guess he doesn't have options." Everyone laughed. She winked at me like it was playful. I smiled back, but inside, I made another tally. I kept my mask on. But slowly, a plan started to form. Her birthday was coming up in 2 months. She had been talking about it nonstop. The big party, the people she was inviting, the restaurant she had picked out. It wasn't just a birthday, it was a showcase. Claire loved being the center of attention, and her birthday was her stage. I realized that was the moment. Not to humiliate her, not to get revenge, but to finally reclaim my self-respect in the one place she least expected it. Every time she dismissed me, every time she used me as a punchline, I tucked it away like kindling. By the time her birthday rolled around, I'd have a fire ready. But here's the thing. I didn't spend those weeks plotting a speech. I didn't fantasize about some dramatic takedown. What I did instead was detach further. I pulled back emotionally. I stopped volunteering extra help. I let her friends' comments slide past me. I listened, I observed, I memorized. I treated every interaction as if I was watching the final episodes of a show I already knew the ending to. And something strange happened. I started to feel lighter. The weight of trying to force something that wasn't real lifted. The ache of being someone's second choice dulled. I wasn't heartbroken anymore. I was just waiting. During those weeks, her best friend, the same one who had warned me, gave me small looks sometimes, like she wondered what I was going to do. I never told her. I wanted no leaks, no hints. When Claire asked me if I'd help her set up her party, I said, "Of course." When she complained that I wasn't as affectionate lately, I said, "I'm just tired from work." When she joked to her friends, "Guess I'll keep him around until someone better comes along." I smiled and took another sip of my drink. Every time, I gave nothing away. The night of the party finally came. We were at a rented room in her favorite restaurant. String lights, champagne, music, exactly how she wanted it. She was glowing, wearing a dress she had bought weeks earlier and had shown me 3 times for approval. She introduced me to her coworkers as the steady one, the safe option. She hugged me for photos, but her eyes always darted to see who else was watching. I stayed calm. I mingled. I helped pass out drinks. Nobody would have guessed that inside, I was standing at the edge of a cliff, ready to jump, not into chaos, but into freedom. Halfway through the evening, the moment came. Someone called for a toast. Claire beamed, waiting for me to say something sweet and predictable. I stood, raised my glass, and the room quieted. I hadn't written anything down. I didn't need to. The words were already carved into me. I started with gratitude, thanking everyone for being there, for celebrating Claire. I said how much I valued the time we'd all shared, the memories we'd made. I saw her smiling, proud, certain I was about to crown her queen of the night. Then I paused. I looked around the room, at her friends, her family, her coworkers, and I said, "Tonight feels like the right time for new beginnings. So I want to raise this glass not just to Claire's birthday, but to the end of our chapter together. Claire, I wish you the best moving forward, but I won't be a part of it." The silence hit like a wave. At first, people thought it was a joke. Some laughed nervously, but I set my glass down, nodded once, and walked toward the door. Claire's face, God, I'll never forget it. Shock, confusion, then anger. She called after me. "What the hell are you doing?" But I didn't stop. I walked out into the night air, the music muffled behind me. And for the first time in 2 years, I felt like I could breathe. Update 1. I didn't slam the door. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make a scene. I just walked out of that party like a man leaving a meeting that had run its course. The cold night air hit me, and I swear I could finally take a full breath for the first time in months. My chest wasn't tight anymore. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't even angry. I just felt clean, like someone had finally wiped the fog off the glass I'd been looking through. My phone buzzed before I even got to my car. 10 missed calls in the span of 3 minutes. All from Claire. I didn't answer. Then came the texts. What the hell was that? Come back inside right now. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. We need to talk. Don't do this. I set the phone down on the passenger seat and just sat there for a moment, watching people inside the restaurant through the big windows. Some were still frozen in their seats. A couple of her friends looked horrified. Others had their phones out already. Her best friend, the one who had warned me, just stared after me, expression unreadable. By the time I pulled out of the parking lot, another flood of messages came in, this time from mutual friends. Half of them asking if I was serious, the other half saying they had a feeling something was off. Not one person asked how I was doing. They just wanted the drama explained. I didn't give it to them. I drove home, locked the door, and poured myself a glass of water. No alcohol, no distractions. I wanted to sit with the silence. That night, Claire showed up at my apartment around 1 a.m. I didn't answer the door. I watched her through the peephole as she knocked and pleaded. Her makeup streaked, her voice raw. "Please just talk to me. You can't do this to me. Not like this. Please." There was a part of me that ached hearing her like that. But another part, the part she had called boring, predictable, safe, felt an iron calm. I owed her nothing. Not anymore. The next morning, social media was on fire. Someone had filmed the toast. By breakfast, it had circulated through her circle, co-workers included. The caption one of her friends put up said, "He actually did it. Legendary breakup toast." I didn't comment. I didn't even like the post. But I knew Claire saw it. She texted me again. "People are laughing at me. Do you even care what you've done?" I didn't reply. By the end of the week, she tried switching tactics. She came by again, this time calmer, with a bag of my things from her place. She smiled like nothing had happened. "Let's just talk. We can fix this." I didn't mean those things I said, but I remembered them all. Plan B. No options. Just keeping him around. Words she never thought would matter because she assumed I'd never leave. I opened the door just enough to take the bag. "Claire, I'm done. There's nothing to fix." And I closed it again. That was it. The messages kept coming for another week. Anger, bargaining, even pity. Then finally, silence. I thought I'd feel lonely, but instead, my days were strangely full. I reconnected with friends I hadn't seen because I'd been so wrapped up in her social world. I spent evenings walking, cooking, actually sleeping. My mind wasn't racing anymore. The most shocking part? Her best friend messaged me one night. Just one line. "You did the right thing." No one else said that. Not my friends, not my family. But those 4 words, from the one person who knew the truth, settled in my chest like an anchor. I don't regret how I ended it. People called it cruel, dramatic, even petty. But they weren't the ones being used as a placeholder in their own relationship. They didn't live with the slow erosion of self-respect. Breaking up with Claire wasn't about punishing her. It was about finally choosing myself. And the aftermath? Legendary or not, it was the cleanest cut I've ever made. Final update. It's been about 6 weeks since the birthday party, and things have settled into a strange kind of quiet. The dust storm that followed the toast lasted longer than I thought it would. For the first 2 weeks, my phone lit up constantly, not just with messages from Claire, but from people I hadn't heard from in months. Some were fishing for gossip. Some wanted to take sides. A few called me heartless for doing it so publicly. What they didn't understand is that I didn't do it for them. It wasn't some reality TV stunt. I did it because she left me no room to do it privately. Every insult, every joke, every story she told about me was public. She made me plan B in front of others. I ended it in front of others. That's all there was to it. Claire tried damage control almost immediately. She posted long Instagram captions about toxic masculinity and public humiliation. She framed it as me punishing her for being independent, for speaking her mind. Her followers ate it up at first. The narrative was easy. She was the victim, I was the cold villain. But then the video of my toast kept circulating, and people noticed her friends' faces. They weren't horrified at me. They looked unsurprised, some even relieved. Comments started shifting. People asked, wait, what did she do to deserve that? Why did her best friend look like she knew? Slowly, the sympathy cracked. Claire reached out again. The tone was different this time, softer, almost pleading. She sent me a wall of text. I didn't mean it when I said you were Plan B. I was just being funny. I do love you. Please, can we meet and talk? I know I screwed up, but don't let one mistake erase everything. I stared at the message for a long time, and then I deleted it. Because here's the truth, it wasn't one mistake. It was the entire foundation of our relationship. Every little dismissal, every time she made me the punchline, every time she treated me like a safety net instead of a partner, it all led here. A person doesn't just accidentally call the person there with Plan B. That's who she saw me as all along. Her best friend, the one who first warned me, reached out again too. We ended up grabbing coffee, and she admitted she'd wanted to tell me sooner but didn't know how. She said, she never took you seriously, and it killed me to watch. I knew you deserved better. I didn't need the validation, but I appreciated it. It confirmed what I already knew. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't insecure. I was right. As for Claire, the fallout hit her harder than I expected. Word got around at her job. Apparently, one of her co-workers had been at the party, and the story spread through the office like wildfire. People started side-eyeing her, whispering. She'd built a persona of being in control, the one with the perfect relationship. That mask cracked. From what I've heard, mutual friends talk more than they should. She took some time off work. She's been quieter on social media. The posts that do go up are vague quotes about growth and learning who your real friends are. I haven't liked, commented, or even looked. My life, meanwhile, feels freer than it has in years. I didn't realize how much energy I poured into trying to be enough for someone who never saw me as enough. Now, that energy is mine again. I've been cooking more, running again, picking up books I never finished. I booked a weekend trip just because I could. Simple things, but they feel enormous when you've been living under someone else's shadow. Here's the thing no one tells you about leaving quietly but firmly. The silence after is loud. At first, it's uncomfortable. You wonder if you did the right thing. You replay the moment, the look on her face, the gasps in the room. But then, slowly, that silence becomes peace. I don't regret the toast. I don't regret walking away. The aftermath might have been messy for her, but for me, it was clarity. People still bring it up sometimes, calling it legendary, like it was some mic drop performance. I don't see it that way. To me, it was just the only way left to tell the truth. I wasn't Plan B. I was never going to be Plan B. And now, finally, I've started living like someone who knows his own worth.